Yes. Okay. So we are live. We are back here. I was trying to figure out what happened with the stream there. Looks like it got ended. Let's go ahead and bring on Ben, see how he's doing. Ben, hello. Welcome.
Good. Welcome. Yeah, I'm looking for your live link on YouTube to share with our community. Don't know where it is. I guess they'll just have to find this on X. I'm restreaming this to our X account as well. Um, so anyway, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Like I said, it was kind of a light day here. I also traded on just for a day trade, basically VWAP right up to 44 there, which looked to be the level it couldn't break. So you actually like the report. You're keeping this long?
Yeah, I love the report. Am I keeping it long? No, I mean I did add some to my retirement account this morning.
Okay.
Yes, because AMD is ON has been destroyed. If you look at the daily chart, came down from like 61 down to 34, and then this morning it was a very big beat. Let's see. ON, where's my numbers? Q3 adjusted EPS 54 cents beats 20-cent EPS. The top line was a huge beat too. 993 million beats 939 million. And they raised their guidance across all of their metrics, including gross margin, adjusted EBITDA, and the commentary on the press release was really, really positive. So, yeah, this morning in our morning note, I gave it a, you can see my screen there now. There we go. You can see here from our top trade ideas this morning, ON, ER blowout. Chart has been decimated, and based on EPS, the stock is not expensive. Issued this at 6:45 a.m. this morning when the stock was 38. Targets at 39, 42, and 48. So we hit the first two targets. Since then, I revised the third target down a little bit. Didn't quite reach it. I was looking for the top of this candle here, 46.64. Looks like we got rejected there, 44.87. I did sell at this point maybe 65% of my position. I'm hoping for an afternoon move because the fundamentals on that, big surprise beat with the stock just, decimated in the last few months. So
did you listen to the call at all? Because it really started to make that big move in the pre-market when the conference call was ongoing. I was obviously on the show, couldn't hear what was going on there. I don't have a transcript for it yet, but I was just wondering if there was something that got said on there. We also saw like a bunch of other retailers lift. So I almost wonder if it was something sector wide. Yeah.
It might have been. No, I did not have time to look at that call. I see Nike here lifting today. Also, maybe they did say something about sentiment and
indeed, and actually even Deckers Outdoors traded up when that happened. Deckers owns Hoka, which is a direct competitor to ON. So there must have been something on there. It'd be something else to go take a look at when we have some more time. But okay, let me bring the Godfather on. There's the Godfather. Hello, how are you doing? Is Rhett coming today?
He's out sick today, actually.
Red's out sick. Okay, well, we hope that he gets better. Gents, I will stop wasting your time. I'll get out of the way here and take care.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Welcome, Godfather. How you doing this morning?
Yeah, pretty good. How are you?
Good. Check out this gold chart. I just noticed it here. It was crazy. Last Friday when markets were tanking, I loaded up into gold call options, but I didn't swing them. I just day traded it Friday for a little gain. They were so cheap, those gold calls. I was shocked. The 370 calls expiring today or yesterday were $1.77, and wow, if I kept those, that would have been crazy, like a 10 bagger or something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I've been playing it through calls on SILJ.
Yeah.
Which is the junior ETF on silver. And
do you know what's driving this move in gold right now?
Yeah, I think it's look, we got from the alternative labor stats, Link Up, Indeed, and Challenger survey, a pretty ugly picture on jobs.
That was this morning?
No, this has all happened during this sort of period that we've had the official job numbers suspended by the government shutdown.
Okay.
So the course of the last couple of weeks, and the other common theme that we've seen on all the corporate conference calls is cost cutting and AI, and so it's hammering jobs and hammering jobs. I think everybody's probably seen that chart showing the launch of ChatGPT and what's happened to job openings. They've just fallen off the map since then. So I think there's an expectation that once we finally start seeing some of this data, it's going to show a labor picture that's a lot worse than expected. And if I'm
kind of hoping for that because I want to see rates drop and I want to see this LDI go up. So
right. So I do think, and you're starting to see that creep in a bit in the Fed Fund futures expectations for the Fed November 9-10 meeting and the rate cut. I think you're going to see as we get closer and approach that date, it gets close to 100% once again, and that gets priced in. So you're seeing the effects in the U.S. dollar, and you're seeing the follow-on effects in both gold and silver, and I think that's the primary driver, to be honest with you. That, and you get some safe haven demand when we see some faltering in the market leaders, which we've seen in the last week.
Intraday, gold is one of the nicer charts because things have started breaking down here a little bit from charts that I'm following this morning. And so I just added some call options to intraday trade here on GLD. So looking at the daily chart, you see that break over the 20 DMA, RSI not yet overbought. So all right, we'll see. Maybe get a little bit of hedge from that.
Note that silver is up 3.9% of the time when gold is up 1.6. So you're getting an even bigger effect on silver, and all of these things consolidated nicely from that.
Wow, look at silver, almost
highs.
Silver's almost back to the highs. Gold is lagging a little bit. That might be a leading indicator a little bit for what maybe gold's going to head back to the highs too. Wow.
I think you're going to start seeing that same sort of structure build in the options that could cause market makers to be forced to buy the underlying in a
gamma squeeze.
Now it's to an effective gamma squeeze. So
let's do it.
Look for that again.
I'll
if that
take
happens, I'll be looking certainly for silver to break through 53.
Awesome. All right. So look at that. I don't know. Maybe I should bail on AMD. This was a crazy call this morning in our morning note. In fact, let me show it to the folks over here. 6:45 a.m. I had two top picks, AMD and ONON. AMD, look at this, 250, 350, 260 targets, support 250 and 246, driven by sentiment that this is a new NVIDIA after all his upgrades yesterday. So bounced right off of 250, broke 260. Now it's pulling back. I made some money on this, but now I'm giving some of it back. Maybe I should have been all out.
I rolled my intraday AMD profits into SOXL because I believe we're going to see a rebound here in NVIDIA as we go into the November 19 earnings report.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen some of the other risk assets stabilize here. Certainly Bitcoin above 100K. I think you're going to see similar commentary coming out of NVIDIA that we heard from
Bitcoin's been very heavy though. Bitcoin and ETH have been much heavier in this rebound. Look, IWM reclaimed the 50, and everything else reclaimed their trend lines.
I'm talking specifically about NVIDIA here and the impact that this has as a market leader. Look, we know the things that are impacting it, right? Druck is out of his position. Burry is short. SoftBank sold their position. There's all this angst over funding. Some 300 of the 500 billion in capex for next year possibly being funded by debt. All the rest of these kinds of things. Sternlick and others highlighting, Moody's highlighting potential credit issues on ratings for Oracle and with their deal with the OpenAI funding. So look, I think we're going to conquer all of those things because the underlying, as we heard from NVIDIA or AMD yesterday, is just so strong. So I think we reclaim 200 on NVIDIA here shortly as we go into an earnings anticipation run.
Oh, right. When is the report? I forgot.
19th of November.
That's next week. That's next Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay. So look, and we got out of the mega cap tech, all the data points that pointed to capex on track. Microsoft said that they're monetizing every dollar that they can spend, doubling their footprint. There's data point after data point after data point, and again, that was reinforced by Lisa Su and the rest of the management team's comments yesterday. So I think this is a pause rather than anything in this leadership group.
It is, but maybe AMD will be the new leader of the group.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see it check back a little bit here. It's a dramatic move. I mean, 10% is a pretty big move off of the lows intraday yesterday. So,
look, I had rotated out of NVIDIA into AMD 4 months ago, and it was a similar It was some sort of investor day where I forgot exactly what it was, but we were both covering it. And I don't know. I just look at it a little bit more superficially in that the NVIDIA market cap did it hit 5 trillion? NVIDIA market cap hit 5 trillion. That's 4.68 trillion. And AMD is a tenth of that. So if there's any chatter in the market, for me that was a signal. It's like, hey, uh, I'm not an expert on this stuff. AI inference versus the other thing, I don't know, but it's like I'm hearing things that AMD's coming up and their growth is getting bigger.
Yeah, look, I agree.
So
On an
it's
individual stock
1/10
basis, I
the
prefer
size of
AMD
Nvidia. 1/10
over
the size.
NVIDIA, but AMD is actually more expensive than NVIDIA. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, I hear that, but it's, law of large numbers, growth. I don't
yeah,
know. That's how I think of it. I'm like, so I rotated out of Nvidia into AMD about 4 months ago, and last night I doubled my position in my retirement account on that. So
yeah. And look, you heard me advocate for that, and I'll say it again.
yeah.
Despite it being more expensive, I prefer AMD. And I like some of these names that give you leverage to the technology ecosystem at AMD, the chiplet architecture, and so on.
Let's move that. Let's go right to it then. AMD chiplet architecture. Let's talk about AIP here.
Yeah, so look, AIP, you've heard me talk about this numerous times. This is a royalty company. They have an IP portfolio. The IP portfolio helps companies like AMD solve a number of things. One of their core technologies is an interconnect technology that allows all these little chiplets to connect to each other. They're the roads that connect the buildings, if you will. Not only does it lower chip design costs by 10x, it can decrease power consumption by 10x, which is really important as physical AI booms. And AMD, they had a slide in their presentation talking about 200 billion in silicon just for physical AI. That's a theme I've been all over. So the adoption of their portfolio, it's massive across the board. It's even more important for smaller companies outside of AMD because we all know that there's a dearth of engineers and talent, and these guys can provide technology, amortize it over much larger product portfolios. So it makes sense for these smaller companies to outsource a lot of this innovation by licensing it through AIP, and it's the same model as ARM, and both ARM and AIP are integral not just to AMD's portfolio, but to Arteris, which is
And I'm getting a
foundry
million.
spin out of Intel, and the list goes on and on. Every day we're seeing new contract wins for these guys. We saw one yesterday with Blaze, with BZAI, I should say, which is another player in physical AI. So whenever you got chips that are sitting on the edge doing inference, power is a major issue,
Yeah.
as is latency, and their technology portfolio solves all of the major themes that are going on in terms of chip complexity, etc. So they're extremely well positioned, inflecting the free cash flow positive over
There you go. That's
60 million in net cash. They'll never raise another dollar. There'll be zero dilution. And the other thing is, look, what happens first is you license from them, and then you get a volume royalty. So there's a lag. First it's designed into the products, and then when the products are actually produced and they're out for shipping, that's when the royalty revenue on a per chip basis really kicks in, and that's 100%. It goes straight to the bottom line. And they talked about in their conference call, this is AIP, how that's growing 36%, and it will double the growth rate of licensing. So the precursors are there, the backlog is there, that part's coming through. I think the market is just coming around to understanding that. So
I'm getting a million alerts of low of days on a lot of stocks. So I just looked at a few things which a little bit concerning. IWM is now battling its key bull support line, the 50 DMA, 243.17. QQQ back at the 20 DMA, but also you see the crypto's coming down. What's going on with housing all of a sudden? I unfortunately, I thought, Fannie and Nail and LDI. It's just, the only one that really worked was Open. You can see here, Open has just exploded since that whole talk about 50-year mortgage and William Pulte coming out and talking about all the, things they want to do policy-wise to make housing more affordable. Open, really exploded off that. But right now, I wonder if there's something going on with rates because the mortgage sector, Fannie is getting absolutely clobbered at this moment. And TLT is a little bit stable, but little bit of concerning price action testing some key bull lines right now in the market. Any thoughts on that?
I don't see anything in particular. The 10 years actually down today. I don't know what the latest catalyst has been in the market, but
Maybe it's
I'll
just
reiterate my view on
intraday.
housing that there's very little they can do to address the affordability when it comes to the home builder side of things. You know,
Mhm.
they can't change local bylaws. They can do some stuff at the federal level in terms of increasing availability and units built on BLM lands and things like that. But
I,
the important levers are going to come on the financial side, and they'll do it. They'll do it by increasing caps for mortgage buying by Fannie and Freddie. They'll do it by making it cheaper to guarantee these mortgages through Ginnie Mae. They'll do it through possibly announcing or getting through. I understand it's got to pass a lot of hurdles, but a 50-year mortgage would do huge in terms of originations for
yeah, I'm very
but
surprised that these mortgage.
it's not something that's going to happen today. There's talk about
Yeah.
it taking Trump over a year to get a 50-year mortgage
Oh, really?
put in place. Yeah,
Really? Is it that
this is a
hard?
long-term
There's a lot.
story. I think the
Yeah.
bigger takeaway from this is that you're going to see more policy actions that are friendly,
Uh-huh.
um, to the consumer, because that's where the real weakness is. Housing touches 75%
Yeah.
of all the wealth of consumers, so it's the biggest lever that they can pull. So yes, $2,000 checks coming to every citizen out of tariff dollars and things like that are nice, but if you can improve the affordability of housing for the masses, there's no bigger impact to the economy in terms of stimulation.
So, yes, that sounds good. Unfortunately for my home picks, though, a little bit annoying because I got big position in LDI, which hasn't broken out. But in any case, look, I want to bring this ONON to your attention because it just bounced off an intraday support line. So ONON, another. This was my biggest winner of the day. I should still be solidly on the green for the day because of ONON. Alerted this morning at 6:45 a.m. at $38 with a 39, 42, and 48 targets on ONON based on a strong top and bottom line beat and good guidance. So this is a huge winner. I got in a big size common shares in pre-market. I slimmed it down here, not at the top, throughout the day. I've been slimming it down, but we just bounced off this support line, 200 1 minute line over here. I'm hoping for a multi-day move here. I don't know. I'll have to maybe listen to the
They talk
conference
in the
call later.
conference call about the potential for the Swiss tariffs to go from 39% down to 15.
Is that what they said? Ryan was talking about that earlier when we thought we were live, but we weren't. Um, he said that the whole sector started moving. See this move on ONON at 8:30 a.m. Is that it wasn't just ONON, it was also Nike and a lot of these other ones were exploding. So he thinks that maybe did he hear something on the conference call that maybe there was some comment that
No, prior
positively
to
impacting the whole sector?
yesterday, as part of the tariff talk, they were talking about lowering the tariffs on Switzerland from 39 to 15. I said that's specific to ONON. So
Oh, that one's specific to ONON. Yeah, but there was perhaps Ryan was speculating there was some commentary about consumer sentiment or something.
actually, I'm not sure how
You have
big of
to
an
go listen
impact
to
that
that.
is because that yes, it's a Swiss-based company, but the product I'm sure is made in Vietnam and other countries like that. So
Yeah.
I just
So
bought some more AIP here at 14.50. Wow, what a bargain!
man, this I'm surprised at this today with AMD up 9%. I thought we'd have this holding up better as a sympathy play
Look,
today.
it's in a liquid name, so this thing can bounce quickly. It's I see this as a rinse and repeat exercise, similar to what our community's been able to coin on AMPX, for example. You buy this thing under 12.50 and you
Yeah.
sell it when it gets 13.14. This thing was at 13.80 this morning. This is
Look at
AMPX.
this. This was at
I just
16. Yeah.
and
AMPX. I'm just talking, but yeah. I mean,
you buy it here at 12.30.
you're good
You
at
can play
that.
it through the warrants for even more
Oh,
leverage.
you're talking about the AMPX. Yeah, I actually added the warrants to my retirement. I have a retirement swing account. I had the AMPX warrants there. But going back here to AIP, you are really good. You don't give yourself enough credit for being a good intraday trader. I think I see it in our Discord. Buy low, sell high. You execute like crazy. This is not my sort of thing. I don't like doing that, and I get like scared of that kind of thing. I'm into re-ratings on Catalyst, and I look for charts that are up and to the right. Like that's where I make most of my money, up and to the right. I see this and I like totally mismanage it. I'm like, damn, it's
See,
at the
the
low
difference
today.
is the difference between what you're doing and I'm doing is I'm
Yeah.
doing it on a very small number of names, and I'm doing it on names that I know really well.
Right.
So it gives me the comfort, and it gives me the conviction to buy, because I know if I like it long term, then if it doesn't work out as a short term trade, like most of the short term trading that I'm doing is simply trading around a core
Right.
long term position in
Right.
names that I know really well. So for me, that works a lot better. A new name, though, that name that you've talked about a lot in terms of some traction on contract wins that also reported is GILT.
Oh, there we go. GILT. I played this morning.
And
Made some money on it. All right.
yeah,
Let's
so I
talk about
finally had a chance
GILT.
to dig into this name, and look, these guys are providing all sorts of satellite communication stuff for their biggest market or subset is in-flight connectivity through commercial airlines, but it's everything from broadband infrastructure in countries like Peru to other defense, enterprise, aerospace, broadcast. It's broadband, it's mobility, it's cellular, it's all of these things that they provision. Look, they beat earnings again. They beat top line again, but they beat earnings by almost double. And current consensus estimates for next year are 71 cents. By my calculation, that number is closer to $1, which puts this thing trading at around 13.5 times.
I know. I'm surprised it has such a low valuation for a hot sector.
It's super cheap, and adjusted EBITDA margins are in the kind of 12% and growing.
It is super cheap.
So you're trading, around 14 times. This is the same multiple that people are paying for Lyft, and that's another name that I added to and will continue to add to in weakness here. So, look, the valuation isn't demanding for this thing. If you look
Any thoughts as to why it's been like that for a long time?
What's that?
Why the valuation, the multiple so low? For a
On
while it was
GILT?
here. Yeah, for a while it was here at like $6, $7, $8, and I kept talking about all these big contract wins they were getting in our Discord, and it didn't do anything for months and months. And then it finally decided after this earnings report, it was the last one before this one. After that earnings report, it finally decided to unlock itself a little bit, but it's still at a very low valuation.
Because they
why?
had a history prior to this acquisition of Stellar Blue, which really kickstarted the growth. Of A, they had a lot of debt. B, they had a history of overpromising and under-delivering. C, they had really lumpy quarterly revenues.
Oh, wow.
So it's really been, since this acquisition of Stellar Blue, that they've been able to show consistent growth. And a lot of that,
Godfather, hold on.
Yes.
Do you know that because you've been following the stock for years, or did he just like do the research and figure that out?
I just did the research and figured all that out because I was looking at exactly what you were looking at.
I've done that. That's a lot of work. I've done that kind of research before. It's hours of work to figure that out. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and so when they reported their quarter before last in August, and the stock went up, some 30%. That was really what kickstarted this run. And look, the stock, ran all the way to 15. It came back to 12, and now we're at 13 and change. I see new highs in this name.
That's what I postulated this morning in the Discord. When I saw this, I said, I think this stock can see 15 plus today. Maybe I got a little aggressive. I get very aggressive with my my immediate re-rating targets. And sometimes they hit same day. And then when they don't, I get very disappointed.
They also won a $70 million U.S. Army award recently. The $60 million contract in Peru, they continue to book revenue on. This is for broadband infrastructure.
Yeah.
So, what is really interesting to me is that they have some pretty substantial operating leverage here. We're talking about earnings growth, and by my calculations, of around 35%, despite a top line that looks to be growing only around 15. So, this is impressive.
Yeah, it is.
And, growing.
It's one I own in my retirement account. And, now that we're talking about it right now, you know what? I'm going to double my stake in my retirement account here on GILT. Boom. Okay, we did that. Yes, very impressive. I mean, they've had crazy momentum over the last several months. So Market seems I don't know what's going on, but underneath, like my watch list, it's just so you know, we have a few stocks at the top of the list doing well, like the one we just talked about, and AMD and ONON. Underneath, a little a little shaky today, to say the least. Lots of big corrections in risk assets, unfortunately. Wow, NRGV. Just can we talk about this for a second? Because this is, I think a relatively new name for both of us. It's been on my radar. I saw this thing explode on yesterday's earnings report, and we both did some research on this. It looks like a very low EV to sales multiple and very, very high growth in the battery energy space. I saw some red flags on cap structure, but this is kind of extreme action here. 485 yesterday, 333 now. What are your thoughts on this?
I haven't completed my research on it. It does show in my table that I did for AMPX as being really attractively valued on all multiples. I was just digging into the cap structure that you pointed out. They do have some converts. I went through the details there. There's 50 million in those converts. It's can be converted at 115% of the VWAP. There's a fixed price. That really doesn't concern me, but there are a couple of other equity purchase agreements that look to be priced on a percent of VWAP basis. So whenever you see that, that means you can have manipulation. In this case, it's the lowest closing price in 3 days after the company decides to draw down on the purchase agreement. So, what that encourages these guys that are providing the money to do is to short the stock. So perhaps, management with the run in the stock went to one of these groups. There's two of them, one called Faloona and one called XIII. They have $25 million equity purchase agreements with each of them, and said, hey, we want to draw down, and which wouldn't surprise me because it's their way of taking advantage of the strength in the stock. And now those guys will be in the market shorting the stock and to get the lowest conversion price possible. So it's 3 days. So I'm watching it closely here. There's probably going to be a bounce as a result. Those are just the mechanics.
So you think the bounce happens after the 3 days?
Yeah, the way these things are priced, it's the lowest closing price on the 3 days after the company asked for a drawdown under those facilities.
I hate that stuff. It's a good thing. Good thing you understand all that. That's toxic financing, death spiral financing. Hudson is notorious for that too, man.
I don't like seeing it. It shows weakness in companies because they don't go into those kind of deals unless they can't find better financing elsewhere. And if they can't find better financing elsewhere, it says something about the company. But look, on the surface, they're inflecting. It's one of these stories where they've gone from purchase commitments to actual deliveries, and so that's showing in massive growth on the top line. It's similar to what we're seeing at AMPX. I like AMPX a lot better, but it's trading at a much higher valuation.
Yeah.
So I'll do more work on NRGV, and maybe next week at this time we can dig into it deeper.
Yeah. I bought the dip at 360 today, and I guess maybe that was premature. That's 30 cents. That's a big hit already.
Yeah, I had an initial entry, invest then investigate kind of strategy around the 370 mark, and I'm underwater also. So
you're gonna hold? I mean, based on that,
it's small. It's just a small entry, a toe hold, while I continue to work. So I'm not.
I hear you. Let me see. Let me see. I'm curious. Let me try to see what position I got. But man, just the last couple hours, my account really took a hit. I was riding high this morning on AMD and ONON. I have a 2% position in NRGV right now. 2%. I don't know. Anyway, I have to think about what to do with that because it might be under pressure, like you're saying, for 3 days.
Do you want to talk about Lyft? You mentioned yesterday.
Hey, I mean, look, it's you and I were both like into Lyft. I don't know, like 3-4 months ago, like big. And it just was disappointing. I don't know. It was not moving the way we wanted.
No, it was a real value. It was a real value trap, and I don't
Yeah.
know what unleashed it, but the market finally recognized,
Yeah.
sort of,
So
past.
I was in it then, and not for this re-rate. I don't know. Did he get back in for this re-rate here?
I got back in pre-market today.
Oh.
So I traded it after the earnings.
Mhm.
Just a day trade or a swing trade. But again, I revisited the financials, and the position I took this morning is the beginning of rebuilding a long-term position.
Yeah.
Because look, this thing is trading at 14 times on an EV to EBITDA basis. It trades at 1.3 times on an EV to sales basis. Uber's a 20 times larger company, but it's also trading at 3.5 times. So almost 3 times the multiple on 2025 numbers that you're seeing at Lyft. And all of the metrics from gross bookings to active daily riders, all the rest of that are hitting new highs. And the thing that's really most impressive here is that they're converting adjusted EBITDA at between 150 and 175% of they're converting adjusted EBITDA up to 150% into free cash flow. So this implies around by my number, 670 million in EBITDA for next year, and trailing 12-month free cash flow over $1 billion.
Yeah,
It's just
very cheap.
an insanely cheap name for valuation for a company with great tailwinds, and they continue to make joint venture agreements on autonomous, and I think there'll be some real tailwinds for this company going forward, and you're getting it at a reasonable price.
All right, sounds good. Let me just
Market
see
bouncing
here.
back here.
Yeah, I see that.
NVIDIA. Look, I really think Soxel is a great play here, because I think you'll see some of the other big weights in that group trade up as overall sector sentiment improves. When you get NVIDIA confirming exactly what AMD said, these are the big weights in that index.
And AMD is also back over this key 260 level.
And look, if the government opens, tonight, which it should, right? The GOP's got the majority it needs in the House to get this passed, so it's going to happen. We could see a broad sentiment lift to all of these names, and obviously the highest beta is in technology. So
hope so. Let's do it. So
adding dips on Soxel the last couple of days here.
Oh, NVIDIA's popping. There you go. By the way, if anyone wants to join Benzinga Pro, a few people have asked me about it recently, because they asked me where I get my news from. You can go get Bloomberg for $30,000 a year, or if you can't afford that, which you can get Benzinga Pro for, I don't know, $80 a month, something like that. Go check it out. But we got a code. It's Story Trading 55, I think. Story Trading 55 is 55% off the annual plan. You might want to check that out. All right, Ryan, you there? Over to you. If you're, oh wait, what's this private chat say? We're at time. You'll just end it. Ryan is not here. Oh, so yeah, you will just end it. I don't know how to end it, so I think we're done for the day. If you want to join our community at Story Trading, just go to there's a code for Benzinga. But go to storytrading.com, or you can go to Godfather's Twitter account, or my Twitter account, or the Story Trading Twitter account, X account, still Twitter, and you can join our Discord over there. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Have a good day.